Welcome back to episode 25 of Real Talk with a Vulnerable Angel and Friends. I am your host, the Vulnerable Angel, Dominica May. And tonight, at the moment, we're joined first by my regular guest, Mike Brown. Later on, we may also be joined by Sharad, but he did have a little bit of an emergency vet situation that he had to attend to. So welcome, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a Frito walrus.
You should be eating cookies because you have Cookie Monster on your,
I know.
your shirts.
I know.
That's the wrong food, Mike. The wrong food.
It's a missed opportunity. What can I say? I was in the mood for Fritos.
Anyway, so this is the first, I think I had this background in the first maybe one or two episodes, or like before I changed into the angel thing. But as we discussed last week, because one of our viewers was admiring your background, Mike, and I'm like, well, I have a cool background behind the sheet that's behind me, so I've taken it down, and now you can see my cool Lego sets, all my Marvel stuff there, and a couple of other non-Marvel
Was that
sets.
Lego Timmy who mentioned that?
No, it was your friend who joined
Bill.
the chat. Yes,
Bill. Yes.
Yeah. But I thought it was Veritas because I wasn't not paying attention to the names until I saw it afterwards. If this is your first time joining us for this live stream, what we do is we just have vulnerable personal conversations, drawing from experiences from our real lives and that sort of thing. This week's topic, as chosen by ChatGPT, because I get all of my prompts from there now, is when we don't feel chosen. Yeah, we've got some good questions from ChatGPT on this.
Let's bring them along.
All right.
So there, I know this has nothing to do with the topic, but just the word chosen makes me think of that television show The Chosen that's going on right now.
Is that like a thriller or something? It sounds like a thriller.
No, that makes it seem like a cult. Which is it? Did you ever watch The Following with Kevin Bacon?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so just watch season 1. Do not watch season 2. It sucks so bad. With season 1, it's about this cult, and he's a detective in, I think, Philadelphia, who has a drinking problem, and he his life is just completely destroyed. And then he kind of, it's been so long since I've seen it, but I can't remember if he gets inducted into the cult or if he stumbles upon some clues that lead him to finding it's wild. It's so good. It's so good. Can't recommend it highly enough. But no, The Chosen, I mean, speaking of cults, I guess we're not too far off. It's it's like a cinematic television story of the New Testament, of Jesus Christ and 12 apostles, and just it breaks down the New Testament into a a drama. It's like Jesus Christ meets Game of Thrones.
Wow, that's an interesting combination.
Without dragons or specs.
Sure, why not? Fair enough.
That's where my brain goes, of what do we do when we're not chosen? But there's something, because I know one of the guys who created the show, and it's wildly popular in the Bible Belt, of course, because of course it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I have strong feelings about it.
I'm sure you do. I liked this prompt when ChatGPT suggested it because I specifically have a joke that I wrote for stand-up. I don't think I did it very many times because I was not regularly doing stand-up anyway, and I was doing a lot of different material every time I did stand-up. But I had this one joke about being in therapy and how my therapist had been offered another job opportunity, so she had to get rid of most of her clients. And like my immediate reaction was like, oh no, I'm going to be abandoned again. Oh no. And then she decided to keep me. So I was like so excited because I was one of the chosen ones. I was like, oh, finally someone's choosing me. So that's not how I said it in the stand-up, but that was the gist of what that was all about.
Dominica, who wouldn't choose you?
Look, I'm unemployed right now, so clearly a lot of people.
Losers.
That's right.
Losers, I say.
I'm working harder at figuring out what it is that I need to do to be chosen to even get an interview in the first place. I'm making progress. But anyway, let's get to our questions because I think anything more that I might say on that would probably also be an answer to one of these questions. So I'm going to bring up our first one. Yes. So our first question is, what's a time you didn't feel chosen and how did you cope?
That is how I created solo improv. It was because I was not chosen. Um, so full disclosure, I did not create solo improv. I found solo improv. I started doing it as my own thing. And it wasn't until much later that I realized other people do solo improv. For those of you just tuning in, improv is not stand-up comedy. It is a team sport where comedy, if you call it improv comedy, comedy is the goal. If you've seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, I'm not going to sit here. Why am I explaining what improv is? Anyway, solo improv is just like ensemble improv, except guess what? Spoiler alert, you do it all by yourself. You still play multiple characters on stage. You still talk to phantom characters that you can see in your imagination. And if you do it well, the audience can see those characters also. So I had been a part of a short form Whose Line Is It Anyway style team / show in Times Square. And I'm just making the connection that I also now have my own short form television show in Times Square.
Full circle.
Full circle. Anyway, that's weird. I'm just making that connection now. Anyway, yeah. So when that show broke up, everyone kind of started their own long form teams, and nobody invited me to be part of their team. So I felt really left out. I was like, guys, we were all in this together, and now you are forming your own team, and you haven't invited me to be part of it. What gives? I was hurt, and because of that, it wasn't my intention to turn a negative into a positive. It was mostly, well, you don't want to play with me, then I'll just do it on my own. And yeah, so I started going to improv festivals around the US, improv festivals around the world. And then I made a thing of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good way of coping with not being chosen in that situation. My best example would probably be just high school in general, where I was more on like the outskirts of socialization. Yeah, and part of this might have been somewhat my fault for being antisocial or not really knowing how to interact with other kids, undiagnosed autistic. But I mean, there were times where, I think a couple of girls my age tried to come up to me and get me to join their groups, and I was just so shy and didn't know really what to say. And sometimes I would come and sit with them, but I wouldn't really be very social. But in general, there were guys that I was attracted to in school and, never chosen. Never had a boyfriend in high school at all. I just felt really, I felt really left out in school as well. And I guess similarly, the way that I coped, well, I guess first of all, the way I coped was we got the internet at home in the end of 98. So as of 99, 2000, which was my 11th and 12th grade in high school, I started finding online communities to be involved with that was in kind of my interest area, which I was starting to get into comedy at that time, and then more invested in stand-up comedy in particular as well. And so stand-up comedy ended up becoming like my coping mechanism, my savior. I ended up writing a bunch of comedy, which I turned into I recorded them on my computer and turned them into CDs that I burnt on my computer and sold copies to a couple of my teachers. And then the following year, finally started doing stand-up comedy and stuff myself. So, I guess that's how I coped in that situation, was just finding an interest of my own that didn't matter if anyone else at school was into it as well. I could just be feather.
You have so many people who in comedy who have come from a background of hurt or rejection or pain or mental health diseases, all kinds of I guess traditionally negative backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like I've said this on the channel before. I have always felt a special kinship with the X-Men, and like within the comic books and television shows, in that the X-Men were a group of people who were born differently, whom the rest of society annexed, basically, and they were scared of because they didn't understand them. Yeah, sure, they had special powers and whatever, but like, just because you're different doesn't mean you're bad. And I always felt like I was different. I don't know. There's really nothing besides like my gregarious personality, my flamboyancy, that makes me stand out. But like, because of that, I could never be cool. I could never find a group to fit in with. And I didn't know how to be cool. I wanted to be cool. I think we all want to be cool. Let's be honest. Every community.
I wanted to be liked. I don't know that I wanted to be cool. I have had people since tell me that I'm cool. I'm like, if you say so.
Well, then cool has like different definitions in different settings too, right? But yes, I wanted to be I wanted to be accepted into the groups that were popular.
Yeah.
Whether I was a part of that clique or not, I wanted to be accepted. I didn't need to be part of their friend group. I just wanted to be accepted. Because I had my own friend group. I fucking loved my friend group. They're awesome. But yeah. So yeah, we're drawn to comedy because we need that outlet to express ourselves and get it out of our systems.
It's a coping mechanism. There's all that self-deprecation that you can enjoy. It's like, well, if you're all going to hate me, then I'm going to hate on me too. And like, if I make a joke out of it, then you're not hurting me because I'm doing it too.
Yeah. I'm taking away your fun.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not as fun if I'm also doing it, right? I'm in on the joke. Ah!
Oh, that's right. I am an asshole. Hey, do you remember that time that I shit my own pants? Hey, we're gonna call you
Oh my
Brownstein. Great. Hey, how's it going, Brownstein? Nice to meet you.
How
Like,
embarrassing. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, maybe that's why I made math jokes in my early stand-up career. It's like, I'm studying matrices in applied mathematics right now, so I'm going to make a matrix joke because the movie The Matrix just came out. What a nerd I am! Yeah, that was literally one of my very early jokes, not word for word, obviously, but if anyone wants to see how that went down, I'm pretty sure it's in the video that's on my YouTube channel about the 16-year-old me doing stand-up comedy. I'm pretty sure
I've only ever done stand-up once, and it went fine. It went fine. On playback, now all these years later, I watch it and I'm like, oh, I hate doing stand-up. It's not my thing. Hats off to you.
Yeah, like it can be really embarrassing, some of your old stuff. I know I've taken stuff down because in hindsight I'm like, yeah, that's probably not something that I want to have publicly accessible anymore. But other stuff I'm like, who cares? Like, that was me in the past, whatever. As it happens. Yeah.
As it happens.
As it happens. Right. Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
it's a hard thing. Like, I got into improv afterwards because I didn't have to worry about remembering my jokes.
I'm
writing anything.
I can't remember my lines.
Yeah, that's why improv is so much more fun.
Yes.
All right. Looks like we might have a viewer right now. If you're just tuning in, our theme for tonight's episode is when we don't feel chosen. And if you have any related questions, feel free to drop them in the chat for us. And then
over here in Mike's snack corner, I have been chewing on Fritos. I am switching to pretzels.
Ooh, gluten-free pretzels
are some of the most fucking delicious pretzels you are ever going to have. And if you disagree with me, I feel sorry for you. Gluten-free pretzels. First time I heard of gluten-free pretzels, I was like, come on. Boy.
What is it made out of then?
Cornstarch.
Okay.
Listen to this crunch.
Wow.
It tastes better than a pretzel. Which how does a pretzel taste better than a pretzel?
When it's made out of something that's not wheat.
Yeah, basically.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ready for the next question? I'm going to assume yes.
Sorry. I saw a thing that like peanuts. No. Made in a facility that does not process peanuts. How often do you see that label?
Yeah. It's going to be very, very special. All right. Our next question is, how do you separate your self-worth from someone else's choice?
I'm trying to understand the question. How do you separate your self-worth?
Okay, so maybe the next question would have helped to reframe this. But for my experience, like when I have been rejected, like for example, I want to date somebody and they're not interested in me, then it makes me feel like, oh, I'm a terrible person. They don't like me. So it impacts my self-worth, right? If somebody breaks up with me or decides to stop talking with me, it makes me feel like I'm less valuable. Like I don't matter to them, right? So how do you separate someone else choosing not you from your self-worth?
I get it. I get it. That explanation was phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, I have to think about this for a sec. Do you have one?
Yeah, sure. No, I'm happy to discuss this because, as I said, like obviously, I have found this very challenging in my past. How do I separate it? I make the decision to choose myself. I find the things that I value in myself, regardless of what another person's opinion of me is. And sometimes that can be very, very challenging, especially if I'm wanting to be picked by a particular person and to not to be chosen by them. It does have a huge impact on me sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a little easier nowadays where I'm like, well, I still have inherent value, as long as I have that kind of mindset. So even after all, like I've been unemployed since August of last year now, and I'm looking for work and I'm consistently not being chosen. But I've my my inherent value has never been tied up in my employment, what I do for a living or anything like that. So that's kind of easier for me to separate, not working from my self-worth, not being chosen from my self-worth. So yeah, I think it's more just making sure that I am able to identify the things that I value in myself. And if it's hard for me to find, then working towards creating that value if I'm not able to see it right then in that moment.
I think that whole thing of like what is valuable to you and identifying that and knowing what that is such a step in the right direction. Because I'm still thinking about this question, and I'm thinking I don't do well at separating my self-worth from somebody else's choice. I don't know.
I guess that's what you can speak to then, how like what that experience is like with how you connect your self-worth with somebody else's choice. Then you want to touch on
We
that
all want to
first?
be liked. We all want to be accepted in the way that we want to be accepted, right? So if somebody doesn't accept you in the way that you want, it hurts, you know? Um, you hit on something very key though of what do you find to be important? For me, a lot of times, the thing that I find important is the thing that um is it, the thing that I want is also my kryptonite. You know, the opposite is my kryptonite. If I don't get what I want, then it feels like a personal attack. Um, so and I'm speaking emotionally. I'm not talking about like, hey, if Mike doesn't get his potato chip clips, then his world will fall apart.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But let's be honest, that my world will fall apart if I don't get my potato chip clips. Um, I don't know. That's an interesting question.
So you feel like they're more intertwined, your self-worth with somebody else's choice, or you haven't figured out how to separate them very distinctly?
I might have to circle back to this. I don't have a good answer at the moment.
I bet Sharad would have been able to have a good answer for this one. I feel like he's good, got that down, right? I feel like he has.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it really is challenging. For me, it's more challenging in the romantic sense, and maybe sometimes in the friendship sense, depending on who it is. But workplace, not so much, because because I was not really, while I was married, I wasn't working for a company for 10 plus years, and so I couldn't have had my self-worth tied up into what I did for a living because I wasn't making my own income. Maybe that's what's helped me from being like, no, I have inherent value, regardless. Yeah, but I mean, I do feel like self-worth can be tied into relationships pretty significantly.
Oh, very significantly.
And like, I don't know that I would be as confident about my own inherent worth if I didn't have my kids that I was taking care of and how good a job I see myself doing with them. Other people are relying on me. At least they care about me, even if nobody else in the entire world does.
No, also like put barriers up. In improv class, I always talk about like muscle memory. We go through this exercise so that we can build muscle memory. And as a comedian, there are certain things that you need to be resistant towards, like heckling. It doesn't really happen in improv show communities. It just doesn't. But one of the tools in your improv tool belt is audience work. How do you work the audience to get the reaction that you want? And a lot of that is about control. So I think that there is a certain level of like walls. Like you have to have your own emotional fortress about yourself and things that you really truly like and things that other people can't get to. So like if you have done all this work to become confident, or well, because confidence portrays in many different forms, but if you used to hate yourself, but now you have gotten to the place where like, I actually kind of like who I am. I like the person who I am. I'm proud of the choices that I make in life. I feel like, yeah, we need other people to get to the next level, whether that's relationship, whether that's your job, your work, your career, whether that is building a house out of pretzel sticks. I don't know. Like whatever you find confident about yourself, something that you like or love about yourself, no one can take that away from you. And I think that's where I was going with that whole muscle memory, is that when people make a choice that doesn't include you or that excludes you, it hurts. It always hurts. 10 times out of 10, it hurts on some level. But hopefully we've done that work to separate ourselves enough that we can still lean on the parts of ourselves that we've fallen in love with.
Yeah. I will say there's a caveat there that there are probably people that can take it away from you if you end up in a toxic relationship with somebody who's abusive and psychologically, emotionally abusive for a long time. That situation, yeah, maybe. But otherwise, yeah, for sure. I was also going to comment on how I think one of the things I do sometimes when somebody doesn't choose me is I try to convince them why they should value me. Like, but I am worthy, and here's why.
Sorry, I just checked. I'm so sorry. I just checked the chat. Yeah. Veritas is here.
Yes, I know. I did see it, but I didn't bring it up because we still had the question up. So welcome, Veritas. Thank you for being here. Let us know if you have any questions or comments about situations when we don't feel chosen. That's the topic of today. Yeah. So, well, I'll bring up the question. Do we have anything else to comment on this topic?
Nope,
we'll move on to the next one. The next question from ChatGPT is, have you ever misread someone's rejection as a reflection of your value? I feel like this question should have come beforehand. I probably should have shifted it, but we're moving on to this now. Have you misread someone's rejection as a reflection of your value?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to give us a specific example?
The one that's coming to mind, and again, I feel like I've shared the story already, but I went to break up with this girl that I had been seeing. We were not in a relationship. It was more of like a situation. But I went over to her place to go break it off, and instead of like doing it over text or phone call, I thought, you know what, let's try to be a man about it. Whatever the fuck that means. Let's hitch the britch and let's go do it in person. Because I felt like that was respectful. So I go over and she was getting ready for a job interview. So she was like, "Oh my!" Before I could like get anything out, she's like, "Oh, you're here. Come on in. I need your help. I'm picking out an outfit for the job interview tomorrow. I need you to help. Let me know which a good one." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And it just like took the whole like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm not doing that right now. I'm
Yeah.
gonna break up
Yeah.
with you in this moment." And so we spend, I don't know, 45 minutes picking out a new outfit. I'm sitting on her bed. We figure out what outfit she's going to wear. She hangs it over the chair, and then she jumps into bed next to me and starts making out with me. And I pull back, and I'm like, I need to talk to you about something. And she's like, what? So like I started to reject her, and saying, I don't think that, we should, do this anymore. And then she like 180 hardcore rejected me. And it wasn't that she rejected me. That part I was fine with. It was the way she did it. And she got really mean and nasty about it. It was like instantaneously. She was like, "Well, I don't date boys. I only date men, and you're a boy." And I was like, "The fuck is that supposed to mean?" Well, you dress like a boy. You don't dress like a man, and I only date men, and like she just made it like really weirdly personal. And I like, oh man, that hurt so bad.
So she made it about being a reflection of your
Yeah.
value. She turned
Which
it
I
into that.
guess technically isn't in the spirit of this question because I didn't misread someone's rejection.
Yeah.
Like I read it perfectly.
But it's also like, I mean, she was intending it like that, but she was perfectly fine with things up until that moment. What's striking me about this situation, and I think you've talked about this on a previous stream, but I'm going to take it in a different direction. What's striking about it this time is that it seems like that sounds like the kind of experience that I see a lot of women talking about online with when they reject a guy, the guy who is like had been pursuing her does a 180 and was like, "Oh, well, you're ugly and fat and blah 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 anyway." So it sounds like very similar to that. So see ladies, not just us that go through that. Women can be that nasty too.
Everyone's nasty.
Yeah. I can't imagine being that ruthless with someone. Like, even if I actually believed that about the person, I don't think I would be that nasty to their face about it. And I can't see myself doing that.
I mean, you're in this relationship with this person because you like them on some level, right? So why are you going to turn around and be nasty?
You would think so, but maybe some people don't. Maybe they're just doing it because they don't have anyone else that they can choose. I don't know.
Athena.
Hmm.
She's a rare guest on this show. Because you don't like being held, do you?
We
You
don't
don't like
normally
being beat
see
up?
her. We
You
normally
don't
see
like
the other one.
oh,
Brazos. Brazos is who we normally see.
yeah, he was
Um,
little baby.
me remembering names after it's been so long. Woohoo! My answer to this question, I mean, I'm sure I've done this dozens of times, but the most distinct one for me, which was a misreading, was, and I've talked about my Malaysian ex in the past. I used the pseudonym Lee for him. So when after I moved here and he ghosted me, I absolutely took that rejection as a reflection of my value. And I was questioning so many things about myself and what I could have done better and what I should have done better and what I could do to become a better person and like all of that kind of stuff. And it turned out that it had nothing really to do with me. But I mean, it kind of did in the beginning, but as time went on, like he realized that it was more about what was going on with him than it was about my inherent value, right? And so yeah, that was a complete misreading, but it was so hard. Like it sent me into a tailspin. It sent me into maybe the deepest depression that I've ever had. And thankfully I was able to get help for it, but man, it was so challenging. And yeah, and so I've had a lot of experiences like that where people have just like disappeared on me, and it always made me feel like that I was, you know, a bad person that people didn't want to have around. So it's hard. It's
Yeah,
absolutely hard.
it really is. I was just thinking about in terms of like maybe more in line with the spirit of the question,
Mm.
auditioning.
Mm.
Auditioning, you can audition for 10,000 different things and you don't get cast in any of them because you weren't right for the part. You weren't, and if you were right for the part, you're just not the flavor that they were looking for.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But 10,000 rejections in a row really starts
Oh,
to
yeah.
mess with your self-worth.
When it's a repetitive kind of experience, then you do begin to, and like maybe sometimes those rejections are not a misreading. Maybe you do need to go work on yourself, right? But sometimes it is absolutely a misreading, and I agree. Audition experiences are probably
I do not.
notorious for that.
I do
No,
not audition well. I don't.
I I'm not a fan. And like sometimes maybe you just don't have quite the right look that they're looking for, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, any
Who
number
needs
of
another straight white guy? I get it.
not in today's casting world.
Well, maybe that was my folly auditioning under the Obama administration.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, no, go start auditioning next year again. They say all this anti-DI stuff, you'll have more roles again. you're getting anyway. Let's move on.
I was about to say something and I was like, oh, that's too far.
Too far? Oh, see, now I want to know because you brought it.
I'll tell you later.
Tell me later. That's fine. Veritas added, "Oh hi, yes, we
Oh,
did
hi.
notice you." And he also says, "Not the best topic for me. I only care about what I think." Yep. Yeah. See, when you only care about what you think, then it doesn't matter if you're not chosen.
I will say to that end, that takes an incredible amount of uh, wherewithal to
Mm.
realize that about yourself, which you may say that as a joke. I mean, you ended it with LOL, but you say that as a joke, but there are a lot of people out there who don't realize that they only care about the stuff that they think. And then, you know, yeah, we're all selfish. We're all selfish on certain levels, but you tend to be less selfish. I'm not going to say selfless, but less selfish when you acknowledge like some of those things and you get to circumvent situations because of it. So it's Good on you for knowing your strengths. Would you
he,
like a potato chip clip?
he says he's not joking.
There you go. There it is.
You can laugh, but you can laugh at things that you say without being like you're joking at it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right,
Well,
next, we might have a short stream tonight because, like, it's easier for us to take longer with these kinds of questions when we have two people, but with Sharad not here right now, we're kind of going through them faster. I can always ask ChatGPT for more questions if we want.
good.
Live.
Good.
We'll see how we go. And the next question is,
Next question.
what have you learned about yourself through not being picked?
You want to go first?
Mm, let's see. I feel like there's probably a lot of things. I'm going to follow on from the Lee ghosting me situation. What I learned about myself was my tenacity to like pick myself up and rebuild myself into what I wanted. Because it really was a case of like, well, I can pick myself up, and yeah, it totally changed my life afterwards, because that was when I decided to find a community and get into improv, and all sorts of things. And I know, I guess also, like, even though I was the one who ended my marriage, it was also a situation of where, I had to, because he was not choosing me anymore either. And so the things I learned from that was, still how much stronger I was than I thought, how much I could endure, how I can like make decisions without knowing what the inevitable outcome is going to be, just to keep moving forward. Because that was not really I mean, I guess I had that before, but I never really thought about it as in depth as what I did afterwards. I learned about choosing myself and what was best for me, rather than like trying to keep the peace and living up to certain other people's expectations of how things were supposed to be. mm, yeah, I guess going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, like the just being able to choose what it was that I wanted to do. And like those have been my biggest growth periods, is when I've not been picked. Figuring out what it is that I want to do with my life, figuring out what it is, that I want to do next. So yeah.
Cool. I think for me, like resiliency is a word that is coming to mind.
Mm.
Self-reliance. There's that whole thing of, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else will.
Mm.
Um, Probably the importance of, all kinds of different aspects of our lives, like the importance of self-care, the importance
Mm.
of taking time for yourself, the importance of having good, solid support systems in place before the shit hits the fan.
Mm.
Um, uh, I mean, this may be slightly off topic, but I think it's related. Um, uh, my first professional job, I moved to a new city where I knew no one. I had no friends. I didn't have a social life because my job required me. Um, my job required so much of me that I didn't have time for myself. And the
Mm.
time that I did have for myself, um, there weren't any, because of where I was living at the time. There were no like social outings that I could like really partake in, and it was lonely. It
Mm.
was so lonely. That first whole year of employment at that place, it was so lonely. And it was hard. It was really, really hard because I wasn't dating anyone, didn't have a friend group to be part of, and I had just come out of college. I just graduated college. You have this incredible friend group. And look, most people go to college not knowing a soul, but then you find your tribe
Mm.
within 2 weeks, right? If less, if not less. Um, and so, like, there's that whole, in a way, you're not being, it's like being not picked through absentia as opposed to like a choice that's being made for you that you're not being picked.
Mm.
So it's so important that you put those things in place, that you are taking care of yourself, that you do have a support system. For me, it was my mom. My brother and I were on the outs at the time. Um, my dad he was never someone to talk about like feelings. Uh, and my mom was going through her own mental health stuff at the time. She had gone like 30 years with undiagnosed anxiety and depression. And the 90s were a tough period.
Mm.
Uh, you know, she's working on her own stuff. So I have to help her through her stuff. But also, I needed, I needed someone in my corner. And for a long time, that was my mom. So I don't know. So I'm sticking with self-reliance.
Yeah. Yeah.
For you.
I've definitely had that as well, seeing how much I am actually able to step up for myself in those kinds of moments, for sure. I think I went, because of that, like I went too far in the other direction where I just feel like I can't, I find it hard to trust and ask other people for help now because I've been so self-reliant. Um, and I mean, part of that was like beaten out of me, not literally, but from my marriage.
Given your relationship history, that clarification is needed.
I've never been physically beaten in a relationship. I will say that up front. Um, but yeah, in terms of like the emotional abuse aspect, I was, you know, and the psychological kinds of things, I was definitely had the experience of I shouldn't be asking people for help. That was kind of my ex-husband's mindset of like, don't ask people for help. Like you should be able to do it yourself, and you know, blah blah, blah. Or like rely on me, but you know, not. But then he wouldn't help me in things that I wanted help with half the time either. So I just learned to be like, okay, I'm just gonna have to do this on my own then. So yeah, through that like behavioral training, I guess in a way, unintentionally. Yeah, it's been, it can be a challenge sometimes to not know then how to ask for help. So I've kind of been trying to uh, be okay with asking for more help nowadays. I've talked about this before. I'm currently going through this book called Never Search Alone for doing job searching stuff with other people. And one of the things that we have to do through the book is like reaching out to people in our network to ask for help for, you know, feedback on various things and stuff. So I have been actually doing that, met with 4 people. But one of the things that I've still, even through going all of this and it saying like at the end of the thing, you should ask if there's anyone that they can connect you to that might be able to help you. Still never ask that question of any of the people that I spoke with. It's much easier for me to speak with people who I already know, and I know that they already like me and have very strong rapport with me. But it's so challenging sometimes. Like one of the like interview types that we have to do is like a reverse exit interview. And one of the first question to ask in the reverse exit interview is, what did I do well? What did I do well in the workplace and in your experience with me? And the people that I interviewed were just like everything, like like it was hard for them to be specific because I was so good at my job and that was their impression. But it's like, but how do I like translate that to other people? Like when I'm interviewing for jobs, it's like, oh, my coworker said I did everything well. Like you can't say that in a job interview, surely.
You have that like self-awareness, and people, it's wild because I think we all do it, but we don't understand that we do it. It's not even that we don't realize that we do it. We don't understand that we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And my goodness, it's hard to see people that have so little self-awareness about themselves. Um, that sentence just ended.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
people have very little self-awareness. Yeah.
yeah.
But then it means that the follow-up question, which is, what could I have done better, was also very hard for them to answer because I did everything really well. So it's like hard for them to like, oh, like they're just like straining to come up with an answer. I'm like, great, but like, how do I, I need kind of sometimes that feedback to know what I can improve on, right? And so eventually they were able to come up with stuff, but it's like, reaching, right? Reaching to come up with something that resembles an answer. But it's also hard, like, it's great for my self-esteem to be told, oh yeah, everything you do is great. And like they can be completely honest with me and like, but if that was what they genuinely believe, great. But how do I translate that to people who don't know me? Like, please talk to all the other people that have worked with me rather than myself, because they will tell you and you can trust them rather than me.
I understand the psychology behind it. Like, why would someone answer a question that way? Well, of course, you don't want to look like you don't know what you're doing. Tell me what you're good at. Everything.
Right. Exactly.
As opposed to, tell me what you're good at. I was good at like one thing in my previous job. Like I understand why people answer those questions the way that they do, but also their awareness of that specific situation out the door. You don't see what the interviewer is seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I do feel like I need to be more specific than, yes, I was just good at everything, because the interviewer wants a more specific answer than that. But like, I mean, I can say I had great attention for detail, but even with that attention for detail, I didn't make me any slower to catch all these mistakes. Like I still beat deadlines and like all of this stuff. But I feel like even if I explain that, I think that a lot of people might not believe it because so few people are that good. I feel like I'm like tooting my own horn here, being able to like just even saying that about myself. But if other people that I work with say that as well, then it's not just me, I guess, that recognizes that I have that skill. I don't know.
Well, it also shows a lack of it demonstrates a lack of critical thinking, because if you get it serves two purposes, right? It puts you on the spot and you have to come up with a creative answer that isn't the standard everything answer. But it also shows that you understand the spirit of the question.
Yeah.
And it's not going to paint you in the best light. That's the point of the question.
Sure.
Because we're not all perfect. We don't all do our jobs excellently. Every aspect of our jobs, shall I say. And so to show that human vulnerability is a risk, but that's also what the interviewer is looking for. Vulnerability.
Yeah. But the answer I did eventually get from the person I met with yesterday for what I could have improved upon was I didn't step up into like leadership kind of responsibility when I certainly had the capability of doing so, because I was so nonchalant and laid back. And it was like, yeah, that's probably true. After he was no longer my manager, I like did step up a lot more and started taking on other responsibilities and stuff. But yeah, I generally am a lot more laid back, like just take things as they come and not stress out about it, even if it is a situation that would ordinarily be stressful to other people. It's like, I've endured so much in my life that I'm just like, this is everything that I encounter now is like, it's not as big of a deal as all this other crap that I dealt with in the past. So that's what makes me more laid back now, I think. Like, no skin off my back. I'll deal with it. I've survived this long through everything else that I've endured. So
experience.
Fine. Yeah.
Experience accounts for a lot.
That's right.
Next question.
No, I'm going to follow up on this. I don't know if this is, I don't know how much detail I go about this, but I did have like, I had to have a long-ish kind of exchange with my ex-husband over the weekend, and in the past it was a kind of situation where he was saying things to me that would have been like baiting me to react in a particular way. And in the past, those kinds of situations, even if I didn't react to it in the way that he wanted me to, it would still cause me stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
But this time, nope, not at all. I was like, this same old tired trick again. Okay, you're still living in the past. Okay, whatever. And he kept trying to take things off topic, and I ignored every time he tried to take things off topic and just stuck to the topic at hand and kept bringing it back. I'm like, man, I've learned so much in how to handle this situation now. So
growth.
Yeah.
Hashtag growth.
That's right. Veritas has another comment for us. This is from a while back now, but it's not selfishness. It's just that my self-worth isn't determined by others. It actually annoys people because it confuses them and makes them question themselves.
Yeah, it can. Absolutely. Were you going to say something?
No. You have more stuff?
I will.
Please do. I'm still like processing and like seeing what I want to say.
I thought you had something ready to go.
No.
No, it like sometimes people's overconfidence absolutely confuses people and makes them question their own selves. Like we see this all the time. There's that, a few weeks ago we talked about the alpha male. Just the archetype of what that person is. But then we also talked about the wannabe alpha male.
Mm-hmm.
Like the alpha male is actually a really nice person who's like super confident and everyone's attracted to. But then the asshole alpha male, the ASS male, the ASH. Yeah, I don't know what the analogy is, but the wannabe is the person that puts on that veneer of I am who I am. So like, blah! And it's like, and it's very in your face, and it's for cause. And sometimes people get like very put off by that and like definitely taken aback. Now, I'm just now realizing that the way that I'm phrasing this sounds like I'm putting you, Veritas, into that second category. And that's how it came across. And
That's not your intent.
I did not intend for that to sound the way that it did. But I'm digging this whole deep.
You are.
And
Digging the
I'm
grave.
sorry. I should just stop talking. I don't. But yes, sometimes confidence, that overconfidence, makes people look at themselves and go, "Oh, oh wow, what am I? I'm not there." Um, and that also can be inspiring.
Mm.
That can be very, very inspiring, which I choose to believe that you are, Veritas, a very confident, charismatic leader that people look to and say, wow, I like this person. I like these qualities in this person, and I want to try and emulate those. And it's doing it for the right reasons that makes you a better person. It's doing it for selfish, assholish reasons that into that asshole category. That's when you have something to prove as opposed to self-improvement. I think that's what I was trying to
Mhm.
convey.
Mike, have you ever been in a situation where your confidence has impacted a person in that kind of way?
Yes. Um, I don't consider myself to have an A-type personality, but other people consider me have an A-type personality. Depending on the setting,
Mm.
I can be a lot, and I understand that. Um, I I consider myself Kool-Aid. A lot of people like Kool-Aid. Not everyone likes Kool-Aid. Some people are very put off by Kool-Aid, right?
Mm.
Hopefully, if I'm doing the self-awareness math in my brain, hopefully my personality has mass appeal. That's been my experience, but I don't know if it actually does. I would think that it does. But I I can't go into specifics because it's work related. But I have this has gotten me in trouble.
Your mouth has gotten you in trouble at Lucky's Bar.
Lucky's Bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, maybe it's not so much confidence as just like some people might describe it as airing my dirty laundry because I've definitely had people describe it that way. The way that I've shared stuff in the past, like it's
Yeah.
not my dirty laundry, it's my truth, my story. Um, and having the strength to kind of share those stories, I think, can be off-putting for some people. But on the other hand, uh, it also draws other people to me, and like they might not comment on something that I say, that strikes people in that kind of way, but they might message me privately telling me that they appreciate that I shared this particular thing because they were struggling with something similar and it helped them kind of think through their own stuff. And that's one of the reasons that I do try to share authentically, because I know that it's had that kind of individual impact on people. Maybe it's not a large number of people, but even impacting one person because of me sharing my truth that matters to me. It makes a difference.
Agreed.
All right, we got one more question. Veritas, you should probably ask us some questions, even if you are confident and have no issues with
I,
being
I
chosen.
texted you some chat GBT questions
Oh, did you?
to bring up.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get on to the
On
first
top.
one first. Oh, it looks. Wait, Sharad sent me something too.
Oh, that's Sharad.
Oh, that's in the same group message. Oh, it's Vikram, his little puppy doggy. He's not a puppy; he's an adult dog. But anyway, I'll bring in the the last ChatGPT question first, and then I'll bring up your
Of
questions.
course.
What does choosing yourself look like in your life right now?
Uh, Alone time
Mm.
to a certain extent. Um, uh, my venture producing this television show, in some ways that is a manifestation of me choosing myself as opposed to sticking with Lucky's Bar and trying to work for yourself, trying to create your own opportunities, living the dream, so to speak, doing what you want to do, but doing it in a way that you make a living doing it. Um, and that's the thing about improv. I would venture a guess and say 95% of all improvisers that you will ever meet would gladly do improv for free and do improv for free. Um, but trying to take it to the next level and, making it a job. Um, you know, what's the cliche? Find uh, find something that you love to do for work and you'll never work a day in your life, something like that. In some ways that is me choosing myself, um, maybe on a grander scale. I don't know, how about you?
Yeah, I guess the first thing that comes to mind would be my uh, decision to like start considering relocating back to Malaysia, um, which I was dead set on until this
Dun,
Tuesday. This
dun.
Tuesday, and this will be about me choosing my son rather than myself. Because I mean, moving to Malaysia would be a great opportunity for my son as well. But the thing that kind of shifted things a little bit on Tuesday, and this may not impact it because it's going to be dependent on if I can't find work here, then relocating to Malaysia is going to be the how I survive financially is kind of scenario. But the thing that came up on Tuesday was I learned that my son has the opportunity to take a digital art uh, course, like ongoing class every single day if he stays at his current school, and that is basically what he wants to do, like for in the future for a job, like that's what he wants to do. And so I'm like, do I really want to take that away from him now by choosing to relocate to Malaysia, or should I prioritize what's good for him right now and then put off what I want to do? And it's such a struggle when you're a parent and you have to prioritize what's best for your kids. Then sometimes that means you put off your dreams. And that's why it was so, like, when I came to the decision about, oh, okay, I can move back to Malaysia, that was like, finally I'm choosing something for myself that's not um like, it will still work for my family and stuff as well, but it was more about, this is what I wanted in my life. And then, yeah, because like I feel like every other decision I've made, like I can do only so much that doesn't impact or doesn't have like any change or impact on my kids in a particular way. I'm still like being able to give to them in a particular way, but it means that I've had to make some sacrifices from things that I might have done otherwise. Like if I didn't have kids, I would have made a lot of different decisions about what I was doing. I don't know if I would have had the last job that I did if I didn't need to make a particular amount of money in order to financially support my kids, right? So yeah, it's a challenge sometimes when to like balance that. And I don't know how
So
things are
how
going to
are
pan
you
out.
choosing yourself right now?
Yeah. So if I do end up moving to Malaysia, that'll be that. But if I don't, what else am I doing? Choosing the entertainment that I want to watch, my leisure time. I've been watching a bunch of anime. Um, I Ooh, yeah. Okay. So last weekend, there was a film festival in San Francisco called Cam Fest. Cam Fest is CAAM for CAM, which stands for the Center for Asian American Media, and so they have a festival every year. It's been going for I think they said 47 years. Is what it they said in
Whoa.
yeah. It's been a long time. My first time at the festival, I think, might have been 2015. So like not that long after I moved here. I moved here in 2014. But I haven't been in a few years. But I went to the closing night, the closing screening, which was a filmed production of Yellowface that was on Broadway, starring Daniel Day Kim. And
I wanted to see that, but we just didn't get around to it. That looked really cool.
yeah, I wanted to travel to New York to see it. So when I learned that they'd filmed it and it was going to be screened at this festival, I was like, I have to go. And then I discovered that they were doing a Q&A afterwards, including Daniel Day Kim, and I'm like, how can I not go now? Right? Like that's an experience that I would not have gotten if I'd gone to New York to see it. Yes, I would have been able to see him perform live, but I wouldn't have been able to hear him talk and answer questions and stuff.
Right.
So that was a huge thing for me because he was basically, I think, my favorite actor probably in Hawaii Five-O when I watched that. And I mean, I liked a good number of the cast, but he was one of my favorite people to watch in the show. So, yeah, opportunities like that is like, that's how I'm choosing me, going out and doing things that even if nobody else is around to go there with me, like I post about it on Facebook and nobody ever responds that they'll come with me or whatever. I did have dinner with a friend beforehand, and he hadn't heard about the festival. He didn't know anything about the film or anything beforehand. So he thought that he could like just wait and buy a ticket later. And then he discovered, oh no, it was sold out. I was like,
Wow. You're finding ways to choose yourself, because as mundane and as just as mundane as it might be to say, I'm going to choose what I'm going to watch on TV tonight. Just something as simple and basic as that is control, right? It gives you a little bit of control, gives you a little bit of sense of satisfaction. It allows you to like decompress and just like zone out. Like, this is gross, but it is what it is. I'm really big into Dr. Pimple Popper right now. And it's kind of my morning routine. I wake up and I throw on the next episode of Dr. Pimple Popper. And like,
is this a YouTube channel?
it's on Disney Plus.
What? Oh my! That does not sound like something that should be on streaming.
It's not a Disney Plus show, but it is a show that is on Disney Plus. It's like one of those. Obviously, it's not Discovery, but it's like a HGTV type show, something along those lines, right? But yeah, I love it, and every episode is exactly the same. Oh, well, that's a lipoma. Let's squeeze it out. Oh, that's a cyst. Let's squeeze it out. Every episode, there's at least one person who has bumps all over their head, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, right? But
and you find that rewarding to watch?
I so do. Oh,
I have heard you're not the first person who I feel like has shared this kind of experience with me. I can't imagine like enjoying watching something like that, but I've definitely had other people tell me that they find it very calming and relaxing.
I had a lot of acne on my face as a kid, specifically like around my nose and like around my chin mouth area. And I got so much satisfaction from finding that one perfect pimple and just, and you feel that, and it's so satisfying. I loved it. Yeah, recently with all like the pimple popping videos that have popped up on pimple popping videos popping up on pimple popper Google.
There's a pimple popper platform.
Yeah, pimple popper platform.
that people can go to watch a people popping pimples.
I say that 5 times fast.
We're just starting a new tongue twister. There's a pimple popping platform where people can go to watch people popping pimples.
Platform of people popping pimples. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. When all those videos started popping up, I keep like watching more and more and more. And just like the more gross it is, the more interested I am in it.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten addicted to watching still just like the tarot card readers saying stuff, but they're so bad now that I'm not actually paying attention. I just click on them and then I'm not like listening anymore. I'm like, so it's like more of a compulsion now to just clicking on them. I'm like, why am I I'm like, this is not even relevant to me. Why do I keep doing this? It's just compulsion.
That's how I am with reels in general. I just like, all right, I got my 1.5 seconds of serotonin. Flip. What's the next one? Oh, there's my 1.5 seconds. Flip. And then it's just over and over and over. It's such a vicious cycle.
It's so bad. That's why I'm trying to like, it's easier for me to sit down and watch, an episode for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever. My friend who I had dinner with on before I went to see Yellowface, he was just adamant, like pushing me to finally get around to watching Andor because he's just like obsessed with it. And so that was the show that I picked up this week. And I'm 10 episodes into the first season now, I think. And it took me more episodes than I expected for it to get to the part that get to the areas of what I had been hearing about what was so good about it.
I haven't seen it yet. Any of it. I want to start watching it very, very soon.
Yeah. Well, the end of season 2 just dropped last night, so you can just binge the whole thing if you like.
That's my plan, but I also just finished watching. I'm right in the middle of the Chucky series. I've seen Child's Play 1, 2, and 3, and now we need to go on. I believe it's Bride of Chucky, and then Seed of Chucky, and then Curse of Chucky, and then Cult of Chucky, and then there's the reboot, and then the television show.
So many. I don't think I've seen any of the Chucky movies. I've maybe seen clips here and there, but I don't think I've seen any of them like all the way through. I think that if I go back to like a horror series, I need to watch all of the Final Destination movies because the next one comes out. Wait, tomorrow, I think.
Today.
Right, today.
It's already out.
It's out. It just came out. Because it's only the first 2 that I've seen. I don't even know how many there have been at this
there's
point.
5.
5. Jeez.
I just binged them all not too long ago.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to check them out, and I can't request them from the library. Are they streaming anywhere? I haven't checked.
Yes, I think they're all on HBO Max.
God damn, the one that I don't have right now. Right now, I have Netflix, I have Hulu and Disney Plus bundled together, which is only costing me $2.99 a month, and I have Peacock, which that was set to like my annual subscription was set to renew I think early June, and I was like, I'm gonna unsubscribe even though it means they'll miss the end of Poker Face. So I clicked cancel, and then it was like said, oh well, rather than canceling, do you want to renew for $19.99 instead of the higher amount that they were going to charge me? I'm like, yeah, I can pay that much. That's what gets me when you go to cancel and they want to reduce the cost for you instead. I'm like, yeah, I can handle that. Even if all I'm doing is watching the rest of Poker Face.
We just watched the new episode tonight. I had to look it up. Yes, all the Final Destinations are currently streaming on Max.
Okay, I'll
Or
see if I can check.
HBO Max.
Yeah, I know they just changed it back. So dumb.
David Zaslav, you were making a lot of really great changes at HBO, Warner Brothers, but come on, man, you got to pick a name and stick with it.
I will subscribe to HBO again when they offer me another really good discount, because I have White Lotus and the latest season of White Lotus and the latest season of the animated Harley Quinn to catch up on. So I do have stuff that I need to watch on it, but I'm just like
And
waiting
Kite
till it's cheap.
Man.
That's right. Kite Man has been it's been so long since I've had HBO. I haven't had it since
Commandos.
Huh?
Creature Commandos.
I don't know that one.
It's the new. It's the first official entry into the DCU. It's an animated television show written by James Gunn.
Okay.
It's kind of like the rejects from the Suicide Squad.
Mm.
It's like, who are the people?
Wow. The rejects of the rejects.
It's so much better than I thought it was going to be. First episode, you're like, Second episode, you're like, it's okay. And then third episode, you start to get what it is, and then it like it's
That happens with a lot of shows where you're like, I'm not sure if this is like, and then you're like, I don't know if I should continue with it. And then like a few episodes in, it's like, oh man. Yeah. I was like that with the anime Attack on Titan, the first episode. I was like, I'm not sure. Same with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I know you're not into anime, but like sometimes the first episode, not indicative of the rest of the series. Yeah. I haven't had access to HBO since about a year ago, and I completely binged everything that I had not seen of Big Bang Theory at the time. That was a lot of Big Bang Theory to watch, especially while I was working full time. Like, what the hell? Like, I think I was up to like season 5 or something. So it was a lot to binge. Yeah, because when the holiday discount came around in late last year, I was like, but they haven't dropped anything else that I want to watch yet, and they haven't announced when the new Harley Quinn was going to be yet. They hadn't announced when. Oh, I think it was not going to be until January. I'm like, I'm not paying for a month of this when I'm not going to be using it. I'll just wait until the next time there's a sale. So yeah. All right, my dad is left a couple of comments here for us. He said he's been listening in the background, but he's busy, so that's why he hasn't commented until now.
That's fair. That's all right.
Then he says that he has a similar history of being in and out of work over a lifetime. One of my last training courses qualified me to help job seekers find work. Kind of ironic to me, but the one big lesson learned is, I have to wait for him to drop the next comment. I will, I'll bring that back up later. Let's move on to one of the questions that you sent me. Can you recall a time when you felt overlooked or passed over for something meaningful to you? How did that experience shape the way you see yourself or others?
Can you read it again?
It's your question. No, it's fine.
Well,
I know. Oh, you got the questions from ChatGPT and then just copied them in? Oh, okay.
Send me those questions and I copied and pasted.
Fair enough. Can you recall a time when you felt overlooked or passed over for something meaningful to you? And how did that experience shape the way you see yourself or others? Yeah, I feel like I had this a decent amount as well, with so many things. Yeah, a lot of my publishing stuff has not, some people were interested in it, but it did not generate as much attention as what I would have liked. I feel like a lot of people don't really care a lot or very much about a lot of the creative stuff that I do. Like even this show, right? Like how many people have I managed to bring in and watch live?
I mean, don't sell yourself short. We got Veritas on right now. We got Lego Timmy.
and my dad.
Reflective Frank.
I have built, a somewhat of an audience, but like the thing is, like what I mean is, like my existing network for the most part is not interested, apart from those of you who are live guests on video with me. You know? What's that? You just cut off a bit of fluff.
A mat. Brazos had a mat right on his chest.
That's how you avoid getting the hairballs, because otherwise it's going to end up in his throat, right?
Well, it's a mat, so he's not going to chew it out because it's just stuck in there. So you have to cut those out, but you have to brush every day. And I now have his hair in my nose, which is very annoying.
I didn't answer the second part of that question. How did that experience shape the way I see myself or others? I guess when that happens, that sort of thing, when my friends don't support, some of my friends do, but the ones who don't support the things that I put out there, especially when I do go and support their stuff and it's not reciprocated, it does shape how I see them. Sometimes it probably shapes how I see myself as well, with not so much nowadays, but I do think it impacted me in the way that, in the sense that I'm like, I don't matter to them as much as they matter to me. So even though I guess it still does kind of shape that somewhat nowadays. Still the same. I don't matter to them as much as they matter to me. And then I think sometimes it does lead me to be less interested in supporting specific people if it's not going to be reciprocated. But it depends on how much I care about the person, whether or not, if I still enjoy their content anyway, I'm going to do it. But yeah, it's much easier when it is reciprocal. How about you?
I keep going back to that auditioning example. So I keep like picking my nose because I can feel those cat hairs up there. Yeah, I just keep going back to the well of auditioning. Like I already said, I don't audition well. I know this about myself. But sometimes you nail an audition. Sometimes you do really, really well. And you know that you did better than everybody else in the room. And most other people in the room get a call back except for you. And you're like,
yeah.
It eats at you. So a number of years ago, I had an opportunity to meet Penn and Teller. And I asked them, I was like, hey, I'm a young comedian. Like, what advice can you give me? Right? Everybody asks that question. And they said, make your own opportunities. Don't wait for someone to hand you something, because usually people won't. So you have to make your own opportunities. And after hitting your head against the wall over and over and over and over again, I finally learned that lesson of like, rejection. I guess people don't like me in my caterpillar form. They want the butterfly, and I'm not at the butterfly stage yet. So now I got to figure out how to turn myself into a butterfly.
It's so frustrating though. Like, why can't people support you along the journey? Like, those are the people that I want in my side, the ones who believe in me before I'm like, at a particular level. that was why, like, it was so frustrating, I guess. One of the reasons why it was frustrating to be rejected in a sense by my ex Lee, because I'm like, I'm supporting you through all of this stuff. You're not famous yet. You're not like, a lot of people don't know who you are yet, and all of this kind of thing. Like, why don't you want to have this person who is sticking by you at this point of time where not very many people care about you, and I'm showing you that I do, and I believe in you. Those are the people that I want to have at my side, as the ones who believe in you before you're at a particular level. There was something else that kind of came up for me with this as well, but now I'm like, it's blanking. I was overlooked or passed over something meaningful. I guess the thing is that I want to be chosen for just being and doing without like having to audition, right? I would just like want somebody to notice me. Like, and the advice that you got was like, just make your own opportunities. I can see how that panned out with your solo improv. But yeah, I definitely have, there's a part of me that's like, just see all this great stuff that I'm doing and then choose me, like, and then, help like promote my stuff, like see that you guys like this, share it with other people, because that's the other thing. Like, even when I have people who do support or do like my content or whatever, they don't share it with other people, so it doesn't, like, and word of mouth is how a lot of people become more known. So it's frustrating when there's side support, but it doesn't like lead to additional support because people don't share it as well. All right, my dad finished his next.
I love that sound you just made. It was very Target lady.
Like Chewbacca. I don't know. Anyway, so sorry, I will bring up the last part of my dad's comment first. Kind of ironic to him about the job seeking thing. But the one big lesson learned is the most successful job seekers pick their career over being picked. Their strategy is creating a strategy that introduces you as a valuable enough to create a job for. Yes. And that is actually kind of how I got my last role, actually. Well, I mean, I interviewed for this particular role. They hired somebody else for that role, but they liked me enough to also find it in their budget to create a part-time role that was the same, so that they can hire me as well. So that was how valuable that they saw me. Because they had a particular project in mind. They already knew that they were going to be doing some stuff with Australian, like they had an Australian curriculum that they needed to have work done. And because I was Australian, they're like, that she's a good asset to have for this. So that was like one of my early projects, was to do with that.
I actually had a very similar experience in college where the director of student, I think it was resident life. Yeah, the student of resident life in the dorms. I was an RA, and when I graduated, it was very apparent that I did not want to go into the culinary arts because that is what my degree was in. I graduated and I was like, oh no, I don't like this, but it's what I'm qualified in, but I don't want to do it. I had applied for another job and I was just waiting to hear back. And so he was kind enough to create a position just for me and give me a temporary job. Like, oh, I'll throw him a bone. He's a good kid.
Amazing. Yeah. Culinary arts. This is the first that I feel like you've shared that with me. I didn't know. That makes sense. That makes sense now why you ended up at Lucky's Bar. Yep. Semi-related, right?
Honestly, that was part of why I was hired at Lucky's.
Oh, there you go.
That was part of why I was hired there.
That makes sense.
I had a background in the food industry.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to hear. I also wanted to comment on this. This is one positive thing that I can say about my ex-husband, because I know I've said a lot of terrible things about him in the past, but he had a situation where a job was created for him. It was the job that brought us here to the San Francisco Bay Area. He'd left his job that he just quit his job that he was doing in Malaysia, didn't have anything else lined up, and just he didn't announce it straight away because it was kind of like confidential for a little while. But when he was able to announce that he was looking for work on Twitter, he had previously interviewed with this one organization. And when they saw his tweet about how he was looking for work, they were like, we want to snap you up, basically. So we're creating this job for you, and we want to offer it to you. And that was incredible. And it was for his dream organization. That was where he had wanted to work. Like very early on when I first met him, he was like, my goal is to one day work for this organization. And so then when that offer came up, even though I was still at the time, I'm like, I don't want to leave Malaysia. I couldn't tell him, no, don't accept that job because I know that's your dream job. So that's, again, another situation where I let other people's, wants and desires be put ahead of my own. But, fair enough. I mean, I got a lot of the things that I wanted in that relationship, but it was, that was his career and it should have been up to him and stuff anyway. But yeah, so amazing when it happens. But sometimes not the way everyone gets a job, but it's amazing when it happens.
Dominica, I know there's 2 other questions yet to get through. I just got a text message from my co-producer on a sketch show that I'm helping to bring to life. We have a meeting tomorrow at noon, and I have to do a major rewrite on a sketch. So
that's all right. We're good. We can finish up.
A little short.
That's okay. My dad has one more comment, so I'll bring that up first. He just says, confidence comes from decision to commit. It gets back to that fear/love issue that he brings up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that
exactly
decision to commit. Just like my decision to commit to moving to Malaysia, and now I'm potentially backtracking on. It's really going to be dependent on whether or not I can find work here, or whatever happens. Yeah, I feel like I'm more. This is kind of where I'm at with my job situation now. Like just today, now I'm like, this is the job title that I think that I can go for, that is the best transition from my previous role, but also very reflective of the kind of work that I did in my last role, that I wouldn't be lying to say that I am this job title. And now that I know that, and I've gotten the advice of like the company that I worked for before, the job titles are a little bit confusing to people, and so I was given the advice of changing the job title to still like make it more relevant to the jobs that I'm applying to, so that when a recruiter looks at it, they don't think, oh, this is not the right person for the role because they haven't previously been an X job title. Right, there was something else, and so nope, instant discard. So yeah, that's kind of like, right, I can take this on. I can feel confident that this is what I was doing because this is what I was doing. I was just doing it in the sense of creating this content so that to teach other people how to do the same work. So that's where I'm at, trying to be confident that I am also this particular job title rather than just what I was doing before.
I love what your dad says about like confidence comes from the decision to commit. You see this brought to life instantaneously within comedy all the time. The performer doesn't fully commit to the character, doesn't commit to the performance, doesn't commit to the joke or the bit, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need that commitment. And I use Chris Farley as an example all the time. Pick a sketch, Matt Foley, if he didn't fully commit to that, Matt Foley and I live in a van down by the river. Like if he half-assed it, it wouldn't be funny. He committed so hard to everything that he did that people saw him and went, wow, that guy has so much confidence. And he couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Because all he saw was his fearful projections, false projections from other people saying, oh no, he looks like a fool. He looks silly. And that's how he viewed himself. He viewed himself as the fool, as the person who looked dumb. But he didn't. Why? Because he committed. And that's how you ooze confidence.
Such commitment. This is bringing up, you said that you watched the most recent Poker Face today as well. Yeah. Kumail Nanjiani in that episode, like I've never seen him in that particular kind of role before, but he nailed it.
Like it's so he was doing this accent and I was like, is he doing? He is.
It was just so good. Like he nailed it. And I was like, oh my God. I don't think I ever would have pictured him in that kind of role before. And seeing him in that, I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Such good stuff.
Loved it. If you haven't seen Poker Face, go watch it.
Yeah, I was expecting to see Steve Buscemi in it though, because I saw his name in the opening credits, but we only hear his voice.
If you see the name of his character in the opening credits, and Steve Buscemi is his character, I was like, there's a good chance you're only going to hear his voice.
I wasn't paying attention to that part. Yeah. But, at least he has a very distinctive voice that I could tell who he was when he was in it. But I like to see Steve Buscemi as well. He's not just a voice actor. I
mean, no spoilers, but it kind of ended in a way that it might be a recurring character.
I hope so. We'll see. All right, you want to end it there?
So
you can go and do your work.
I've done so many rewrites on this sketch, and I'm like, just let it be it. And then I forgot that we had the meeting tomorrow, and then he just texted me just now, and I was like, wow.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we will be back at this next week. Wait, let me see. The next topic that I have lined up for us is, let me open the right thing here. Attachment versus connection.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So that's what we're going to be discussing next week. Probably the same time, unless we have to adjust. It'll be listed on the YouTube channel at Dominica Creates at some point, hopefully earlier than it was this week, where I only just put it up today. I'm usually earlier than that, but yeah, I'll put it up. I will not be able to do it tomorrow. I have a lot on tomorrow. My son is doing a presentation at Cloudflare, is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Something. I know one of the big tech companies in San Francisco. My son is getting to do a presentation there. I'm like, that's pretty exciting, and I get to go along to watch. So that's also exciting. Probably no opportunity to network and say, "Hey, give me a job."
I mean, maybe. You never know.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
What you know is who you know. You take every opportunity.
I can't even remember the name of the company. I know what they do. I have heard of them before. I just off the top of my head. Well, I don't know. If I'd opened up my calendar, I could have checked. Anyway, I'm sure we'll be back sometime next week. Hopefully at the same time, but maybe not. Just watch the YouTube channel to see when it comes up for subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we're going live in case it's not at the usual time. That is how to find out. Follow for more. Tell your friends so that they can enjoy all of our heartfelt
right.
conversations too.
That's right.
All right.